For my American Indian Studies final project, I decided to analyze a painting of the Wounded Knee Massacre that was created by Oscar Howe. Here is a picture of the painting on the right. It was created in 1960 and is on display at Eisenhower Presidential Library in Kansas. This painting is different from most of Oscar Howe's work. Most of his art is centered around things that celebrate the Dakota tribe. His other pieces also tend to be a little bit more abstract in nature. However, this is such an important event that he must have felt compelled to paint it so that more people could see and understand what really happened on that day. Oscar Howe was born in 1915 in South Dakota, and he lived until 1983. He is part of the Yanktonai tribe, which is a band of Dakota people. He attended Pierre Indian Boarding School. This was a school ran by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Many of these schools were known for things such as forced assimilation. Assimilation is the stripping of one's own culture into accepting the mainstream culture. After he attended Pierre Indian Boarding School, he then went on to art school at Santa Fe Indian School. Here he was encouraged to use his culture to inspire his work. He has an entire feature in South Dakota's Art Museum, as well as being in the museum in Kansas, and it is said that he led the way for contemporary American Indian artists. To understand this painting, we need to know a little bit more about the event itself. The Wounded Knee Massacre happened on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in 1890. This reservation was in Howe's home state of South Dakota. During the massacre, United States soldiers killed roughly 300 American Indian men, women, elders, and even children. This event happened because the U.S. government feared the Ghost Dance movement and a possible rebellion. In reality, this was a peaceful movement that believed white people would vanish from colonized land, the buffalo would return, and things would go back to how they were. This event is still a symbol of oppression for American Indians. Now that we know a little bit more about the event, we can analyze the painting. In the foreground of the picture, we can see a group of soldiers firing into a pit of unarmed American Indian men, women, and even a child. To see the child, you have to look very closely in the bottom left of the painting. The colors in the pit are also much brighter than those used in the background. By doing this, Oscar Howe is drawing more attention to this part of the image. However, it is important that we also look into the background of the image. In the background, we can see an American flag flying in the wind. This is a symbol of colonization of the land. We also see an American Indian kneeling on the ground, presumably begging for their life. The last important thing that I want to draw attention to in the background is the cannon. This is here to show the power that the United States military possessed, and when it came to weapons, how serious they were about this conflict. The pit in the front also symbolizes a mass grave, where many people from this event were actually buried. Emotional impact. The painting does a very good job of separating the two sides from each other. The soldiers very clearly have the upper ground and are the only ones who have weapons. They are also wearing all the same uniforms and have very serious looks or no expressions on their faces. It's like killing all these people was just a job to them. On the other side, the American Indians in the pit have a pained look on their face and their bodies are flailing. There's also a layer of blood with them. This is done to show the viewers the pain that these people were experiencing and to help see the injustices and the brutality of the event. This painting was created to help people witness the event. Hearing about something like this and being able to see it can have two very different effects on people. This event has been written about a countless number of times, and no description can match the emotions that you can see in the painting. This painting will forever act as evidence that this event happened, and it helps spread awareness of just how brutal and how much force the United States was willing to use against American Indians. To connect to core themes, The first example of a course theme that we saw was colonialism. Colonialism is the domination of people or of an area. This event is a good example of both. This painting depicts the United States Army killing people who didn't agree with them. Instead of letting these people live with their own beliefs and culture, they were massacred. The people in this painting were already living on a reservation because they were forced from their original homes. Reservations like this one is already an example of colonialism. However, the United States took it one step further by trying to take away their religious beliefs as well. During the late 1800s, American Indians had their land taken away and were also dominated socially by the United States. This social domination included boarding schools like the one Howe went to, where they tried to assimilate them into the mainstream culture. A second course theme that we can see in this painting is resistance. This painting is definitely considered an act of resistance, as it is working to spread the stories of American Indian history. Resistance is the refusal to accept or comply with something. Howe is refusing to let this event be remembered through the mainstream media. Instead, he wanted to paint his own picture of it. The Wounded Knee Massacre was an act of colonialism, and Oscar Howe is fighting against that through this painting. The people of Wounded Knee refuse to have their culture taken away from them, just as Oscar Howe is refusing to let this be forgotten. This painting is extremely important because it lets us see exactly what happened at Wounded Knee. The last theme that this painting connects to is survivance. Survivance is using any and every tool available to help preserve your own culture. Howe's paintings allow him to reach a wider audience because they are displayed in different places throughout the world. He is passing down a piece of his own culture. Understanding of course themes. This piece highlights how important it is to record major events. The Wounded Knee Massacre is a large part of American Indians' history, and it is important that these records be recorded. The event itself was an act of colonialism, and the artist had first-hand experiences with this theme, being that he went to an American Indian boarding school. By creating his art, he is allowing us to witness the event instead of just reading about it. It helped me to understand just how brutal colonialism really was. American Indians didn't just lose their land and way of life. They also lost so many loved ones in other parts of their culture. I think that this is definitely not talked about enough. He is also demonstrating the theme of resistance through spreading the truth of what actually happened on this tragic day. It is important that all sides of a major event like this record them from their perspective. His art is also a good example of survivance. This specific artwork is displayed in Kansas, where it reaches another audience. His other art is displayed in South Dakota, and that reaches its own separate audience.